In the volcanic highlands of Rwanda, at 3,000 meters above sea level, there is an animal that has no natural predators, no territorial rivals, and no reason to fear anything that shares its forest. It does not even register you as a threat. And last year, the internet spent a week debating whether 100 humans could beat one in a fight. The gorilla did not respond, because the answer is already written in a single moment from the 1980s, when the most dangerous human being on the planet stood outside a silverback's enclosure and offered a zookeeper $10,000 to let him in. The zookeeper said no, not to protect the gorilla, to protect the human. That human was Mike Tyson. We'll get to that. First, you need to understand what a silverback actually is. A male mountain gorilla reaches 200 kilograms. Some exceed 250. He stands over 1.7 meters tall with an arm span that stretches nearly 2.7 meters, wider than most doorways. His muscle density is unlike anything in the human body. Research into gorilla physiology has found results so far outside human ranges that direct comparison becomes almost meaningless. Where a human body is built for endurance, for fine motor control, for tool use, a silverback's body is built for one thing: the application of force. His bite force has been measured at approximately 1,300 pounds per square inch. For context, a lion measures somewhere in the range of 600 to 700 depending on the study. A hyena, famous for crushing bone, around 1,100. The silverback's jaw generates more force than almost any land predator on Earth, attached to a skull so dense that researchers have described it as functionally impact-resistant. His hands, the same hands the internet imagined 100 humans grabbing and restraining, can bend steel rebar. Not metaphorically. Documented cases from sanctuaries and research stations record silverbacks casually dismantling reinforced enclosure components that were engineered to contain them. This is the body the debate was about, and the debate assumed you could reach it. Here is what the 100 humans debate got wrong at the most fundamental level. It assumed the gorilla would wait. A silverback threat response, from the moment he decides to engage to the moment of contact, takes less than 2 seconds. He covers ground at speeds exceeding 40 kilometers per hour in short bursts across terrain, regardless of obstacles. The charge is not a bluff in the way a bear charge often is. When a silverback commits, he has already calculated the outcome. And the outcome, in his experience, has always been the same. The chest beat that precedes a charge is not theater. It is preparation, a physical act that compresses the chest cavity, floods the body with adrenaline, and serves as acoustic warning across distances of up to a kilometer. By the time a human hears that sound at close range, the window for any meaningful response has already closed. In every documented case of a silverback engaging a human, in the wild, in sanctuaries, in the handful of zoo incidents on record, the pattern is consistent. The initial contact is not a bite or a swipe. It is an impact. Full body, full speed, maximum force impact. What happens to the human body in that first fraction of a second determines everything else. Broken bones, not individual ribs, entire rib structures. Dislocated shoulders from a single deflecting swipe. Skull fractures from contact that the gorilla delivered as a warning, not an attack. Those are the warning outcomes. The most documented incident of a human entering gorilla space uninvited happened not in the wild, but in a zoo. And it became the most watched wildlife moment of 2016, though almost no one understood what they were actually watching. On May 28, 2016, a 3-year-old boy fell into the gorilla enclosure at the Cincinnati Zoo. He landed in the moat and was immediately approached by Harambe, a 17-year-old Western lowland gorilla, 180 kilograms. The internet's reaction to what followed divided into 2 camps: those who believed Harambe was protecting the boy, and those who believed he was a threat. Both camps were looking at the same footage, and seeing entirely different things. What primatologists saw was something more specific than either interpretation. Harambe was not protecting the child. He was investigating a disruption in his territory. The dragging, the moment that triggered the decision to shoot, was not aggression in the way a human experiences aggression. It was handling. The way a silverback handles something in his environment that is behaving unpredictably. The child was screaming. The crowd was screaming. Harambe was attempting to move the source of disruption to a place where he could assess it. What would have happened next is unknowable. What is known is what a silverback does when an investigation turns into a perceived threat. And what is known is that the same hands dragging a 30-pound child weighed in that moment exactly as much as they always weigh. Zoo director Thane Maynard stated afterward that no tranquilizer could have acted fast enough, that the situation, in his professional assessment, would have ended in the child's death. He wasn't speculating. He was describing physics. The silverback does not rule through size alone. He rules through what primatologists call presence, a behavioral and psychological dominance that operates on every member of his group simultaneously, and that extends to every species that enters his range. Researchers studying mountain gorilla groups in Rwanda's Volcanoes National Park have documented silverbacks maintaining control of groups of up to 30 individuals through a combination of physical displays, strategic positioning, and social memory so precise that they track the individual relationships of every member of their group simultaneously. He knows who owes a debt to whom. He knows which alliances are forming. He intervenes in confrontations, not randomly, but at calculated moments, to reinforce loyalty, to isolate threats, to demonstrate that no conflict within his group resolves without his awareness. This is not instinct in any simple sense. Long-term studies have demonstrated that silverbacks make decisions based on prior history with specific individuals, adjusting their responses to familiar humans, researchers, and rangers in ways that reflect remembered interaction. A gorilla that has had positive long-term contact with a specific researcher behaves differently toward that researcher than toward a stranger. It is not conditioning. It is recognition. And what that recognition means in practice, the silverback has already assessed you before you have assessed him. He knows whether you are familiar or foreign, whether your posture communicates submission or challenge, whether the group members nearest to you represent a threat to his authority. By the time you are aware of him, he has already decided what you are. This is where Tyson comes back. It was the 1980s. Tyson was unbeaten, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, widely considered the most physically dangerous human being alive. He had paid to have the entire New York Zoo closed and reopened privately for him and Robin Givens. When he reached the gorilla cage, there was one big silverback gorilla there, just bullying all the other gorillas. In his own words, "I offered the attendant $10,000 to open the cage and let me smash that silverback's snot box." The attendant declined. What makes this story devastating is not that Tyson wanted to fight a gorilla. It is that Tyson, who had fought every human being placed in front of him and beaten them, looked at a silverback and felt the impulse to challenge it. And a zookeeper, someone who understood what was on the other side of that cage, refused to let the most dangerous human on the planet enter. That refusal is the most honest assessment of the 100 humans debate ever recorded. If the answer were humans, the zookeeper would have had to think about it. There are approximately 1,000 mountain gorillas left on Earth. The number is that precise because every individual animal has been cataloged. Researchers in the Virunga Mountains know each animal by face, by family line, by behavioral history. The population is not a statistic. It is a list of individuals, each with a name. That precision exists because mountain gorillas nearly went extinct. Poaching, habitat destruction, and disease brought the population below 620 individuals in the 1980s, the decade Tyson stood outside that enclosure. Conservation efforts, including the work Diane Fossey died for, pulled the number back from the edge. It is the only great ape population currently listed as increasing. There is something in that recovery that is worth sitting with. The animal that would have killed Mike Tyson in under 30 seconds, that dismantles reinforced steel with its hands as a byproduct of frustration. That a professional zookeeper refused to let the world's most dangerous human approach. That animal came within a generation of disappearing entirely, not because it was outcompeted, not because a stronger predator replaced it, but because of us. The same species that spent a week on the internet debating whether 100 of its members could beat one. The debate was never really about gorillas. It was about how we think about power, about whether human intelligence, human coordination, human numbers can override the simple physical facts of what another animal is. The answer, in this case, is written clearly enough. A silverback gorilla in the wild has no natural predators. Leopards have been documented taking young gorillas, but no predator on Earth regularly hunts adult silverbacks. Not because they haven't tried, because the outcome of trying is not survivable. 100 humans, one gorilla. The gorilla does not need to defeat all 100. It only needs to make the first contact so catastrophic that the calculation changes for the 99 who remain. And it will, in under 2 seconds. The zookeeper knew. The primatologists know. The researchers who have spent careers sitting within meters of silverbacks and who have watched what happens when something goes wrong know. The internet debated. The gorilla didn't need to.